Welcome to the Dojo Talk Podcast. Please remove them shoes before entry.
The master is here, and you still have not taken off your shoes.
Yeah. Living every day to define man's mission. Looking to the sky for divine transmission. Deaf man's vision makes the blind man listen. Eyes on the prize, this is blind ambition.
What up? This is episode 10 of the Dojo Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Serial Sensei. Probably not going to keep y'all here too long today. Don't got a whole lot to go over. But real quick before I get started, I mentioned this on the last podcast, but I used to post the episodes on SoundCloud also, but I forgot that you have to, do their little payment system for upload minutes. So I will be doing that probably sometime this weekend, getting that taken care of, and so all the episodes will be updated on SoundCloud. So if you prefer that. If you prefer to, listen to a podcast on SoundCloud, they'll be up there. Probably I'm aiming for Sunday. I'll just throw all of them up there. So that'll be episodes 3 through 9, or technically 10 now. That will be on SoundCloud. So you can go there and listen if you want to. So just wanted to throw that tidbit. And also, I haven't streamed in a while. I haven't played Resident Evil lately though. So couple of those videos, my gaming streams, which are on my Twitch, which if I remember I'll leave a link to in the description below. Go check those out. Game's pretty dope. I played it. My first video I uploaded about 2 days ago. Played it for a good probably 45 minutes or so. I might stick with this for a while. So check those out, man. They're pretty. It's a pretty entertaining game. It's something I enjoy streaming. So hopefully I'll try to stick with that, and you might see a few of those videos sprinkled in here and there. And excuse me if I still sound a bit sick. As I mentioned on my last podcast, I've been contaminated, so getting a little better though. I took my meds and all that good stuff, but not 100%, but doing better than I was before. Yeah, so that's about enough for an intro. So I guess I'll just get into it. Like I said, today, probably not going to keep you guys here too long. But the two topics I wanted to, go over, one movie, one album. The movie being John Wick 2 and the album being, Lupe Fiasco's Drogas Light. I'm going to start off with John Wick 2. Only because I'm not that good at movie reviews, so I probably won't have too much to say. And I'm not going to spoil the movie for anybody who hasn't seen it. So you're safe to listen to my non-spoiler review. I guess a quick synopsis on Wick 2. Stars Keanu Reeves, if you didn't know. The first John Wick, I think, came out 2 or 3 years ago. Really dope action flick. I mean, not too much of a story, not anything intricate or crazy going on, but if you wanted action, man, the first John Wick was the movie to see. So I was really hyped for part 2. I went and saw it. I believe it was last Sunday. Did not disappoint. As far as the plot goes, pretty much, in this movie, we get to see, well, for one, if you know the first one, he got his car stolen. So in John Wick 2, mini spoiler, but after I just said I won't say spoilers, but he does go to get his car back, which is like the opening scene of the movie. But as far as the main plot, John Wick, who is played by Keanu Reeves, is basically a part of kind of like this hitman organization, and they have, certain rules and regulations that they abide by. So the plot in this movie kind of centers around a blood oath that he has with someone else within the organization, and in order for him to get out of the organization and go into retirement and go back to obscurity, which was what he kind of was in before he got back involved with the organization, he has to carry out this blood oath. So the movie basically centers around him carrying out the blood oath and kind of the aftermath of him carrying out the blood oath. He doesn't make a lot of friends. Doing his blood oath definitely, pissed a couple of people off, and as a result, you get to see him in typical John Wick fashion. The kill streaks, they're there, just like the first one. I can't say, it's been a while since I saw the first one, so I can't say that this is better than the first, but I can say at least it's on par, if not better. I like this one particularly because you get to see more of the organization that he's a part of, and I feel like this John Wick kind of goes deeper into the world that he lives in, which, I mean, you got a taste of that in the first one, but I think this one goes a lot deeper as far as the organization and kind of the rules and just like the people that he really used to surround himself with. So I like that aspect of the film. As far as the action, it doesn't disappoint. If you like the scenes from the first one, as far as action, there's no reason you won't like this one. The guns are still there. He's still just taking out mass amounts of people, just firepower, just on 100 shotguns, anything. Yeah, it's all there. Everything you knew and loved about the first John Wick pretty much returns in Chapter 2. Also, like some of the other characters in this movie, I forgot that Common was even in this until I went to see it. He plays one of the fellow assassins named Cassian, and he and John Wick had a couple of fights actually, and a pretty hilarious subway shootout scene, which I won't spoil, but it was probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. So you get to see, John Wick pretty much on the run. Oh, I forgot to mention also part of the story. He has a 7 mil bounty on his head. So as you can imagine, when you're walking around and people know you're worth 7 mil, people are after you. So this movie I can't even say it takes long to build up. It took a little bit, you got to lay the groundwork for the story or whatever. But once the groundwork gets going, like once that first shot is fired, the movie just takes off and it just never stops. Pretty much constant action as soon as the first kill happens. So once you get to that part in the movie, it doesn't let up from there. It's just the movie just one long massive kill streak. But I'm an action junkie, so I loved every second of it. I guess to be honest, there's not too much else I can say about this movie without spoiling it, but it was dope. Like, it was just dope. So if you like the first John Wick, go watch this. There's no reason why you won't like it. Like I said, I can't say if it's better than the first, but it's definitely on par. So go give John Wick a good look if you want just a great action flick. Kill streaks, Call of Duty kill streaks every 10 seconds. Yeah, there's nothing else to say. It's John Wick. If you know what John Wick's about, you know what kind of movie you're getting into. So it's a get what you pay for. You know what you're getting into when you watch John Wick. As long as your expectations aren't above that, you're gonna like it. So John Wick 2, dope movie, and I'm excited for. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a part 3 with the way it ended. Won't say how it ended, but whenever they do a part 3, that's probably gonna be just as wild as this one, if not even more crazy. But yeah, so that's John Wick. I'm not gonna spend too much time on it, but I wanted to give that movie a shout out because I haven't been to the movies too often lately, but I'm glad I finally got to see this. So yeah, props to Keanu Reeves, man. Dope movie, dope franchise. Now, to the main event of the podcast, Lupe Fiasco's Drogas Light. So how do I start this off? So Lupe he's just had like a really interesting career, like ups and downs, and some projects you listen to from him, you're like, dude, you're a lot better than this. And then some projects you listen to and you're just blown away. Like, I can't remember what order they came out in, but the Fahrenheit mixtape that he dropped, I think that was 2015. Like, that tape was just straight fire. It was only 5 tracks, all of it good. And I heard that and I was like, man, Lupe's back. And then Tetsuo on Youth came out. And I remember actually when I first listened to Tetsuo on Youth, I didn't like it like right away. Well, I loved Mural. Like Mural, it was instant fire. Like that was the one track I did repeatedly go back and listen to over and over and over again. Even though I'm pretty sure a lot of those bars still go over my head, but that track was just bananas. But that album didn't sink in for a little bit. Like, I remember listening to it maybe the first couple times, and I was like, it's alright. And Tetsuo and Youth was one of those albums that it took over time for it to kind of grow on me. And like now I actually find myself, I go back to it a lot more now. And I'm like, man, this was really good. Like, that's some of Lupe's best work. Like, that Tetsuo on Youth is one of Lupe's best bodies of work that he's released in a long time. So yeah, like that album grew on me for a little bit. And after going back and listening to that, I was like, well, man, if, Tetsuo on Youth was pretty fire, so he's got this good streak going. There's no reason why Drogas Light, shouldn't be fire. I don't even gotta say it's gotta be a classic, but this should be a dope offering. So the first song, which was a single that I heard from this album, was Pick Up the Phone. And I can't I wish I could remember. I can't remember the guy's name who was on the hook, but yeah, when I first heard Pick Up the Phone, I was like, okay, I don't know what's this album gonna sound like, because Pick Up the Phone was a very kind of, I won't say pop, but it was a very mainstreamish type song. I think some of the bars were there though, like the rapping on that song wasn't bad, but like sonically, just the sound of it, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with this. And then the second song, the only other song I heard before this album dropped, was Made in America, which was a complete contrast to Pick Up the Phone. Sorry, not Made in America. It's called Made in the USA. And that song was pretty much like a trap banger. And as much as I don't like to hear Lupe over trap beats, I actually like that song. Can't even lie. Like, it's stupid catchy for no reason. And that beat bangs. So yeah, I wasn't sure what I was going to get into when I put this on. So the stream drops. I can't remember what day this came out. I think it came out like a day earlier than it was supposed to. Stream drops, and I immediately went to it. I was like, all right, new Lupe, gotta listen to this. And man, I gotta be honest, I was a little hurt. I was a little hurt, man. This album left a wee bit sour taste in my mouth. And this album was like a tale of two halves. So the album starts off with Dopamine Lit, which, like Made in the USA, is pretty much like this really trap sounding song. And I'm like, okay, alright, I don't know how I feel about Lupe over trap beats, but whatever, I guess I'll take it. And then it goes to NGL, Niggas Gonna Lose, with Ty Dolla $ign, which was another kind of like trap sounding song. But I actually liked that song. Like, I thought the content was good. He was pretty much kind of just talking about the state of, I guess, like Black America, and how a lot of the things we do, sometimes we shoot ourselves in the foot. with some of the things we do. We're not helping our own cause by, some of the actions we take, so on and so forth, things like that. So it took me a while to like get used to the sound of that song, but like for the content and everything, and actually I don't mind him and Ty Dolla $ign together. I wasn't sure how that was going to work when I looked at the track listing, but it was the dope song. And that is one of the few songs on this album I actually do return to and listen to. Then it goes to Promise. Then it goes to Made in the USA, which I said earlier. Well, actually, I'll mention that. That's another track I do return and listen to. Content-wise, he's pretty much talking about, how do I put this? Just made in the USA. And all of but not like the good things, talking about where, he gets his lean cut from Houston, Texas, and, gangbanging came from Illinois. It's a dope, I like the concept. Like, if you listen to it, you'll kind of understand how he ties the Made in the USA theme with what he's talking about. And probably could have been executed better, but like I said, to me, it was catchy. The beat banged just seriously dumb hard for no reason. So I liked it. And then it goes to Jump. And by the time I got to Jump, I'm not sure what I was expecting, but like Jump is, what track is Jump? Jump, I don't think it's exactly halfway through the album, but it's track 5, and this album has 14. So the first like quarter of this album, I just kind of accepted. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not going to get the Lupe I thought I was going to get. Like, I just kind of accepted, like, all right, maybe he's just going for like that trap, accessible mainstream sound. So I wasn't really too happy with that, but I was like, all right, I can't make this album something it's not. I need to take it for what it is. Let me see if I can still enjoy it. So, like I said, it goes to Made in USA. Then it gets to Jump. And Jump, I still don't really understand, like, the concept. Like, one of the verses is about, like, him ghostwriting for some chick. And then, like, the last verse is about them, like, going into space or something. I'm like, bro, I have no... like, what are we doing right now, Lupe? Like, I don't get it. You lost me, bro. I don't know what's going on here. And then it goes to City of the Year, which is, it's kind of his ode, I guess, to Chicago, but to be honest, wasn't really feeling it. And I guess I'm pretty much going to do a track by track review. Then it goes to High, which is an interlude track that has this really loud, kind of annoying hook. I like the rapping though. I think, not to draw a parallel to Lasers, because I've seen people say this is worse than Lasers, which I definitely disagree with. But I think this album suffers from some of the same problems Lasers did, but just like in a slightly different way. Like, even with Lasers, in my opinion, the content was there, but the sound was just terrible. The sound was just completely off. And even though Lasers, I don't think Lupe was still like lyrically as good as we know he can be, but the things he talked about, I was like, all right, it has some kind of content. There's something there, but the execution was just bad. And this album kind of suffers the same way, and that in some of these songs, like, his rapping is good, and sometimes the content's there, but it's just in this trap soundscape, at least for the first half of the album. And you're just like, I've heard people say that this album is him kind of like mocking the mainstream, kind of like Absol did with These Days, but bro, I don't really care for some mockery. It's not it's not a good mockery. I can't co-sign this. But yeah, like, all right, so it goes to High. Like I said, the bars on High was cool, but the sound, everything else, I was like, yeah. Then you get to Tranquilo with Rick Ross and Big Crit, and I was like, all right, maybe this will save the album. We got some features on here, some notable features. It was an okay track. I kind of like it. Big Crit had a good verse though. I'll give Big Crit definitely, to me, outshined on this track. Ross was okay. So I mean, Big Crit shined on this track. Ross was alright. I guess typical Ross, nothing mind blowing. It was an okay track. And then after Tranquilo, to be honest, the next track is Kill, which Ty Dolla $ign comes back to again. After Tranquilo, man, this album kind of it's an immediate nosedive. Like, Kill was bearable, but nothing worth like going back to. And then after Kill, I don't know what happened. I don't know. Like, for the first half, like I mentioned, lot of trap influence, a lot of, just kind of like that mainstream sounding music, but just more geared towards the trap side. And then pretty much after Kill, this album takes this really crazy turn. Then we get to Law, which I can't remember. I think it was slightly trappy, but it was slightly trappish, I should say, but had more of a pop feel. And then that was like the start of the nosedive. And then once it hit Pick Up the Phone, like tracks 10 was the start of the fall, like the terrible fall. And then 11 through 14, from Pick Up the Phone to It's Not Designed to Wild Child to More Than My Heart, which is the closer. This album, like, nosedive isn't even the word. Like, this album completely just this album completely just falls apart. Like, Pick Up the Phone was such a poppy, that was almost a Lasers song. Really, like 11 through 14, these were like Lasers throwaways. And they were just so poppy, so mainstream, so dancey. And it was just, I don't get it. Like, as much as the trap sound wasn't doing it for me, but it had there were good moments that I was like, all right, at least it's not the best Lupe, but I guess I can deal with this. But like 11 through 14, dude, no, like, no, no, not at all, unacceptable. Like, all of those tracks are just horrid, just terrible. I listened to this album, how many times? I'm gonna say like 2.5. And like I said with Tetsuo and Youth, not even just with Tetsuo and Youth, I feel like with albums in general, like, normally the more I listen to them, the more I can pull from it and I might find myself enjoying it more. This album somehow had like the opposite effect. Like, the first time I listened to it, I was just kind of like, I'm not even really sure what I just heard. And then the second time I listened to it, dude, I don't know. The second time I listened to it, I was literally getting mad. Like, this album, the second listen, was literally pissing me off. Like, oh man, I don't know what to say. Like, literally, the second listen really got me angry. Like, I couldn't listen to it all the way through. Like, I think I did some of the trap sounding tracks. Like I said, I could re-listen to Dopamine Lit, NGL, Promise a little bit, and like Made in the USA, which are the first 4 tracks. And then after that, aside from maybe Tranquilo, the rest of this I couldn't listen to them all the way through. And like I said, by the time I got to like tracks 11 through 14, dude, I just skipped them. Like, I would listen to like the first 3 seconds and it would just piss me off. And I would just like, no, I'm not doing this. And then actually, before I even started recording this podcast, I gave it one last skim through, and it was somewhat the same deal. Like Dopamine Lick kind of grew on me a little bit more. I still like NGL. Promise wasn't a great song, but it was bearable, and I like Made in the USA. Jump was cool, like, and after I accepted this trap sound, I was like, all right, I guess I can get with the beat, but this concept is so all over the place that I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't get the ghostwriting, and now we're in space, and I don't know. And then I just kept skipping songs, and I was like, dude, I don't know, man. Like, what happened? Just, this album is just a pile of just confusion. And like I said, if you're mocking the mainstream, whatever. I get it. That's cool. But it doesn't make your album good. It doesn't, like, I can't give you that pass. There's still ways to mock. You know, you can still make fun of the mainstream and what's popular, but still, like, make it sound good. And this wasn't it, man. This was not it. I'm looking at my time recording. I'm only at like 25 minutes. I wanted to at least give you guys like a half an hour. I don't know what else to say about this album. This was not the Lupe that I had hoped to get. Like, this was something else, man. It was something else. I think, if I remember correctly, that this is supposed to be a part of, I guess, like a 3-album series or something like that. So my only last hope for this album is that maybe once the other 2, or how many ever other albums he's supposed to drop, maybe once they come out, you know, and you get to see the grand scheme of the albums, assuming that they're connected in some kind of way, maybe it'll make sense in some way. You know, maybe somehow in the concept of the whole thing, it'll connect once you hear the other 2. I to be honest, I doubt that's gonna happen, but one can only hope. But yeah, man, and as a standalone project though, bro, I'm not. Yeah, this was not it. And I read that Lupe himself rated. He did his own review of his own album, and he gave it a 7 out of 10. I think that's being a bit generous, to be honest. I would give this maybe 5.5 on a good day. Maybe, depending on, I don't even know. Like, yeah, just no replay value. Not a lot of replay value here. And I feel like even, maybe, I don't know if he was aiming for just people who, maybe he's trying to get that crowd that likes the trap sound, and then he's trying to still infuse content to maybe, I don't know, like he's trying to be that rapper that I'll do this trap sound, but I'll still throw content in there, and maybe, you know, a listener who might not have even considered my music before will listen to me now. Maybe. That's about all I can think of. I'm not sure if that's what he was going for, but maybe. Maybe that's what he was going for. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. So I'll leave a link in the description so you can check it out. Don't get your hopes up. You may be probably gonna be disappointed, but I'd say give it one listen. Give it one listen. That might be the most you can stomach it, But give it one listen, man. And yeah, man, I don't have anything else to say about this album other than I'm just hurt. I'm disappointed. But my one positive is that I as talented as Lupe is, I know that he can do better, and I feel like he will do better second go around. I hope. So yeah, I'm just gonna hang on to that hope that eventually, when he comes back around with the next Drogas or whatever, we're gonna get better. A much better Lupe, hopefully not so much trap, or even if we do get the trap sounding Lupe, it'll be executed better. So yeah, man, Drogas Lights, that's about it. I don't want to end this podcast just yet. So about 30 something minute mark. I guess real quick, I want to talk about a little anime viewing project, if you will, that I'm embarking on. So, if pretty sure you guys are aware, or maybe you might not be, Scarlett Johansson is going to be starring in a movie called Ghost in the Shell, which is a very popular / classic anime that came out I think the original Ghost in the Shell probably came out in the 90s. This movie is coming out on March the 31st, 2017. Now, everything in my mind, heart, body, and soul is telling me not to go see this movie. But I'm in too deep. I was on the fence about seeing this. I know in my heart that once I leave that theater, I'm going to regret watching this movie. But my plan was I was going to watch Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, which I did, which I probably will talk about a little bit. But I watched Standalone Complex, the first season. I'm in the process of finishing second gig right now, which I think that's 25 episodes. I think I've only watched one episode so far, but I got plenty of time. I wanted to finish it before the live action comes out, so I still got plenty of time to catch that. As long as I can watch like an episode a day, I'll be fine. But I also wanted to go watch Ghost in the Shell Arise, which is a prequel, and then I wanted to rewatch the movie, which I've seen plenty of times. Anime adaptions to film, pretty much aside from Rurouni Kenshin. Well, I've only seen the first one. I have the second one, but I'm a terrible movie watcher. I've owned this DVD for so long and I've never watched it. But aside from Rurouni Kenshin, and I'm just gonna say all three of the Rurouni Kenshins are awesome because the first one was just crazy. Like if you like Rurouni Kenshin and you haven't watched the live actions, do yourself a favor, go and buy it, because that might be the only good anime. That might be the only good anime to live action adaptation that's actually quality that might ever come out ever. So you go buy that, hold on to it. That's gonna be a national treasure. I'm pretty sure Ghost in the Shell isn't gonna turn out the same way, but yeah, man, if you haven't watched Ghost in the Shell and you like want to go back and maybe watch some of like the classic animes that you probably have heard people talk about, but maybe you never got into, this is one of those, man, you gotta watch. Especially if you kind of like that cyberpunk anime, something similar to the vein of a Psycho Pass or like a Cowboy Bebop. This is like the OG of those type of animes. Like if there was no Ghost in the Shell, there probably would have never been. I don't say it wouldn't have been a Cowboy Bebop, but like that, the influence. Like the influence of Ghost in the Shell is definitely seen in shows like Psycho Pass, and Standalone Complex, man, it's a really dope series. I think it was 26 episodes. Centers around Major Kusanagi, who was a part of Section 9, which is kind of like this top secret government agency that kind of like works in the shadows, taking care of all the dirty work that, normal cops and other just kind of like regular organizations can't really handle. good action, lots of espionage, lots of exploration as far as the relationship between like humans and robots and technology and everybody like being connected to networks. It's like fascinating stuff. And Standalone Complex is one of few animes. I normally like my animes to have like a linear story where things progress naturally. One episode kind of leads to the next, and it kind of builds up to something. And this show doesn't always do that. I mean, there is a theme in Standalone Complex. The main villain, who's called the Laughing Man, who's kind of like this hacker. He kind of, you could say, is the main theme. He's the one recurring villain, but he's not in like every episode. So not every episode is like building up to something about him. So, but even when the episodes don't relate to him, the show is still really good. Like plots and subplots, and just I love just watching kind of like cop type, I don't say like cop type movies, but you know, seeing how like the CIA and like government agencies works, and like you get cover-ups and people trying to cover their work, and you get cover-ups on top of cover-ups and betrayal and just all that kind of good stuff. And all of that is just packed into these 26 episodes, man. It's a really dope watch. This series overall is just, there's a reason it's heralded as high as it is and referred to probably as a classic anime that everyone should at least watch or be knowledgeable of. And after watching Standalone Complex, I see why, man. Like, I used to watch Ghost in the Shell when I was younger, but I mean, like bits and pieces. Like, I saw the movie and I liked the movie. The show I just kind of saw bits and pieces of, but I never sat down and just like watched the whole thing. So now that I'm really getting into it, I'm pretty much letting the show consume my life until the live action comes out. I see why that it gets the praise that it does. So yeah, man, go check out Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex. Join my journey. Watch everything Ghost in the Shell related you can. Like, you're gonna get good action. You're gonna get great stories. Lots of good characters, man. You got Bato, who's like her right hand man. Probably gonna be butchering some names here. Aramaki, who's pretty much her head boss. I just like seeing this show in terms of the strategies and, you know, the strategies they come up with to get themselves out of jams and try to accomplish missions. And like I said before, seeing the whole bond between humans and cyborgs and technology and everything kind of all being infused together, and seeing how that relationship works. And yeah, man, it's just it's such an interesting show. It's such a dope show. And whether you start by watching the movie or watching Standalone Complex or even watching Arise, which I believe Ghost in the Shell Arise, which is a prequel, I think that's on Netflix. At least some of them are. So definitely check those out. But yeah, man, this show is just, it's awesome. That's all I can say. But like I said, if you like shows like Cowboy Bebop, or if you were a fan of Psycho-Pass, which I'm a huge fan, pretty much like a stan of, if you've watched shows like that and you haven't seen Ghost in the Shell, go watch Ghost in the Shell, man. Go give it a look. The anime will be great. The live action, I mean, I can't. I gotta reserve judgment until I see it. But I know I'm gonna be hurt. I know this isn't gonna be good. The first trailer I saw was very minimal, and I could tell from the trailer that the one thing they did that I guess I can give them props for so far is that they at least paid attention to some of the source material, because you could tell from the first trailer that they paid attention to like certain camera angles and just shots were pulled straight from the show, or straight from the movie, I should say. So I was like, all right, at least they're somewhat looking at the source material. But how much is that gonna last? Maybe it was just for those few specific scenes, and because the second trailer I saw, which is a bit more extended, I don't know. I felt like the longer the trailer got, the more I didn't enjoy it. So I'm going to try not to watch any more trailers of it. I'm pretty sure they'll maybe release another one by the time the end of March rolls around, but I'm going to try not to spoil the movie for myself. I'm just going to wait, see what happens when it comes out. If I get disappointed, I get disappointed. I'm going into this knowing that I'm probably going to be hurt, but it's worth it because I'm getting to watch this show and I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying I've only watched one episode of Second Gig, but I'm pretty sure the second season is going to be dope as the first. So at least I'm getting a good anime experience out of this. I know the live action is going to rob me of my money, but I've made terms with that. I've accepted that fact that I'm going to go in that movie. I'm going to give them my $11, $12. I'm going to sit in that theater, and I'm probably going to leave with a lot more questions than answers. And I'm probably going to feel... probably gonna leave that movie kind of feeling like I did after I listened to that Lupe album. Like, I'm just gonna be like, what just happened? Like, but yeah, man. So John Wick 2, dope movie. Lupe, Drogas lights, not so good. I'll leave a link though, link to stream it if you dare to listen. As I said, don't go in with the expectations too high. You probably will be let down. But I'll say give it a fair shot. But yeah, it's not anything worth going back to. Ghost in the Shell, live action movie. Pretty sure it's not going to be that great. Anime series though, worth every second of the watch. So go check that out. So I guess that's about all I got for today. And this podcast is actually shorter than I thought. But I don't want to keep you guys here too long. I don't have much else to talk about, and I pretty much freestyled that whole last Ghost in the Shell segment. That was not planned. So, yeah, man. As I mentioned earlier, podcast will be up on SoundCloud probably sometime this weekend. So if you prefer that platform, just be on the lookout. Once I upload all the episodes, I'll start leaving links to the SoundCloud in the description below. Like I said, also probably going to be streaming Resident Evil, hopefully somewhat semi-consistently. So look out for those videos. They'll be popping up. I'll leave a link to my Twitch also in the description below. And as always, as far as fights go, UFC, Bellator, anything MMA, anything kickboxing, I think Glory has a few cards coming up. Me and my co-host Anti-Cool, as we say, anytime people are being kicked and punched in the face, we'll be there to talk about it. So whenever some fights happen, we'll be on it. So just keep a lookout and like, subscribe, share with a friend, share with a friend's friend, show some support, pretty much. But I'm going to get out of here. It is my day off of work. I need to go be an adult, get a few things done in my life. So until next time, I will catch you guys later. This has been the Dojo Talk Podcast, and I'm out.